this will break your heart. I'm never gonna hold you back. I'm always gonna have your back. So try to remember that.
Good morning, beautiful people. Happy May 4th. Oh, I think it's that Star Wars day now that I said it out loud. It's also Grandma Dina's birthday up in heaven, 5-4. So it's happy Monday and happy all those other things. Today's quote is from Bob Blair. There is no end to the width of God's shoulders. There is a story about a wise woman listening to the woes of a friend. The friend sadly reported her problems on the road to recovery and how stuck she usually felt. After an hour of listening to negativity, the wise woman said, "Remember, God hasn't quit his job." When we tackle all of life's problems by ourselves, we quickly tire and get frustrated. We can usually measure our level of trust in our higher power by our physical and emotional condition. The more trouble we try to carry and fix ourselves, the more exhausted and frustrated we feel. It is difficult to learn to trust him enough to let him help carry the load. But when we finally let go and turn over the problem, the clouds seem to open and the sun of hope shines on us again. And though it's not something we learn to do all at once, in time, we can see our slow and steady progress and feel our growing serenity and confidence. Today, let me trust my higher power enough to share my burden. Let me turn one thing over. That lines up with the normal messaging, right, of the serenity prayer and not hanging on to stuff and community. There's a lot of little nuggets in there. The part about not doing stuff alone is definitely the foundation of the center, the mutual aid groups, even the Facebook communities. And there's some value to knowing that other people have felt what you're feeling or gone through what you're going through. A lot of them, or people have gone on the other, have made it through to the other side. They've grown through it. I love that, instead of growing around it. And having faith in your higher power, whatever that is, so that it's going to work out okay. For me, the universe is going to make it turn out the way it's supposed to. I may or may not accept it at the time, but it definitely will work out exactly how it's supposed to. And the best I can do is get learnings and grow from it. We were talking this morning. I did go for my bike ride, by the way. I'm very proud of myself. We were talking this morning, and the context was my friend has to go back to work, and his philosophy was, well, it can't be done that way. He went straight to can't. And I'm like, well, what about like it's working now? And I just saw an example of how things can happen. Well, there's a different, how did he say it? So there's like 28-year-olds in his field, and then he's like my age, is like 45 or 46. And his point was like, we'll let the new ones deal with the technology and the change, and I'm just going to sit here in my bubble. And our views are always so different, because I think, that mentality reminds me of people in my life and in my job, and you can't just do things the way they've always been done. And that's one of the blessings that I think COVID has given the world, whether the people want to accept it or not, but be open to some of those changes and growths instead of just being stuck in our old ways. And we have to do that in recovery too. It's not just jobs, so part of the reading was about sharing with someone, who offsets maybe our negativity when we're feeling it. in addition to having that faith that things will be okay. And even let's say that something wasn't okay, right? If we remember to be mindful of gratitude, as obnoxious as that might sound, right? Because who the hell wants to be grateful when things aren't going our way? But if we can get to the gratitude or to reframing it from a negative to a positive. So my example just then with, the folks who don't want to change, COVID's a negative as a general rule. But if the positive is that people do change because of whether it's lack of choice or not, it might be uncomfortable to go through that change. But on the other side, let's say using technology more than before gives someone 2 hours more free time a day or makes them, 2 hours more efficient. Well, what can you do with those 2 hours? That's like a gift. I mean, we talked about having those seconds in that other episode where, you can't refill the clock every day. So maybe the change has a positive consequence. And if we're grateful and mindful during the process, we can hopefully not stir as much of the frustration or negativity around it. So I'm learning a lot. My biking buddy definitely has an opposite perspective of me. And then there's times it's helping me too, like look in the mirror because I don't want to be negative. And when I'm hearing someone and they sound negative to me and I hear things that I've said before, it then helps me go, oh, I was being negative too. Because sometimes we can't hear it when it's coming out of our own mouths. So if we get to kind of went in a little circle there, but if we turn it over, we don't have that pressure, and that pressure and stuff, I think, is what generates some of that negativity. So that's kind of my thoughts for today. Seems like there's some really common themes in recovery, and if you are listening every day and hearing those themes, it's because they're important. Staying abstinent, trying to stay positive, higher power, gratitude. Those are things that we should be thinking about every day, being mindful. So anyway, happy Monday. I hope that everyone has a fabulous back to work day or whatever